I thought I would have Obi the first time, and we fought at Roller Town. He's been working on his Oshizumo, you know, so he just blasted me out. I wasn't expecting him to blast me. I was expecting him to try and grapple, but he went for the face. So this time I was expecting it.
Nice.
And Obi and I talked about it because anytime we fought like at practice, we would just do more kind of we'd end up grappling because we just, you know, it just feels like when you're trying to do Oshizumo and you're too close, it just feels like you're just playing patty cake with someone's face.
Right.
And so you feel like you're making more headway if you're, you know, just grabbing the belt and just lurching them around instead of just kind of slap boxing with them. So this time we were like, you know, well, let's just try to have like, you know, because we see Rick and Bubba have those fucking slugfests whenever they fight. So we're like, yeah, let's fucking have a slugfest.
Oh my God. Caitlin and Ari were doing that a lot too.
That fucking, the slugfest.
God,
yeah, I know. That was so fucking cool.
Oh, man.
I'm glad Oshizumo is like, everyone's working on their Oshi style.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be seeing a lot more of it now too.
But it was fucking wild because like whenever I was fighting Obi, the first thing in my mind was like, okay, go for his fucking face. But instead, like I was going for the face, but my hand, the way he was rising and the way my hand connected, it snapped on the back of his neck, and you could hear the snap on the back of his neck.
Wow.
Like it was audible even on like that Rachel's camera with the crappy audio. You could still hear the smack and everyone go, oh, like that. Yeah. So you hear that smack, and then like I try to like, you know, get a couple of like pushes in, and then I just see it. I see the angle. I'm like, oh no, the back of his Mawashi's right there, and I got the back of his neck, so I just fucking whoom, I just yeeted his ass out.
That's the thing. It's starting. You're starting to coalesce that fight sense, you know? The situation that you're in, the angle that you're at, what your strategy is going to be. It's all starting to click now.
It is. And in a second that I just saw that, I was like, nope, there it is. Boom. I had that moment a few times when I was fighting Kizzert, but it's like anytime I would start to feel or make motions, he would just immediately brace. Like anytime I would make just barely a hair of a motion.
His fight sense is much more developed than yours.
It is. He's way more involved. Because not just in sumo, he also took that Kung Jung Musul. So he's got like other martial arts in there, you know. Yeah. He doesn't telegraph what he's doing. He just does it. You know? And that's kind of hard to deal with. But I always like fighting Kizzert because it just kind of gives me a feel of where I'm at. You know, fighting my teacher's teacher gives me a feel of where I'm at. And that's the longest I've lasted against him like ever. I mean, when you watch the fight, it's not that long, you know, but compared to some of my other attempts, you know, that was one of the better ones. So, I'm kind of glad about that.
So you had 4 bouts, right?
Yeah, so it was Obi, and then, Merman, when I got fucking, you know, goddamn speared by Merman.
Mermaidered.
I did get mermaidered. Look at that. Can you see that shit?
Yes.
I took a picture of it that I put in my little video.
You look like you've been donkey kicked.
I did get... Well, that's like a knee. But look, it looks like 2 fucking feet.
Hoofs.
He felt bad about it. I was like, dude, in sumo, don't feel bad about it. What the hell? You know, it just happens.
By a merman.
But no, so there was the merman fight, and I should have won that fight. I just was too high. But, you know, I always suck my first couple of fights, you know.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I got my second fight with Obi because that kind of pumped me up. It sucked that my third fight had to be with Kizzert.
Yeah.
But then I fought Angelo, and I was fucking tired, and like, you know, I was already like, oh fuck, am I already out of energy? But I was like, nope, I could do this just this one time. But that kid fucking drained me. Like, fighting him took all of my stamina fighting Angelo. But afterward,
then the after party.
Oh Jesus, Caleb's house is nice.
Hell yeah. I love his purple walls.
Yeah. And the karaoke. Oh my God. All the karaoke.
Oh my God, the karaoke.
I think my favorite was whenever you were doing you and Merman were being backup dancers to Rachel doing Tina Turner. Yeah, both of y'all synchronized. Rolling. Rolling on the river. That was fucking great. And then the battle, you know, the karaoke battle being fought. I don't understand why Pearl Jam was the chosen battleground of the karaoke wars. But fucking Kizzard and Jay Scriven like killed it with the Pearl Jam.
Hell yeah, they did.
Those guys got some voices. Jay Scriven is a goddamn songbird. And, going from, that low baritone, of Pearl Jam to, singing like, he's got like a good country voice. He has a really good country voice. I was like, damn, Jay. And then, he's a genre hopper.
He is.
That boy can hop genres. And he's good at the genres he hops through.
Yeah.
He's real good. I think if anyone won the karaoke wars, it was probably Jay.
You think he's the karaoke...
He's the karaoke muscle. And then the karaoke wild card was Rick. And then, let's see,
Rick was on for karaoke, for sure.
And I love how he just, like, puts in, growls whenever, growls aren't necessary.
Just whenever he fucking feels like it.
He's like, it was funny. There was, like, this, I can't remember what it was, but it reminded me of this time I went and saw Opeth. There's this song called, God, I can't remember what the name of the song is, but it's a really slow kind of piano-ish dirge ballad kind of thing. But this part of it is like, what have I done? That part right there in the song. And then whenever I saw them live, it was like with Napalm Death. And like, the whole crowd is just dead quiet, watching Opeth play the song. And he does that line. And then this redneck in the background just like, yeah, man, what have I done? Just like, so there was a time in a karaoke. I can't remember. It was like, kind of like a serious kind of like song, like a ballad or something like that felt more solemn. And then Rick was all drunk in the background. Yeah, man. Just totally reminded me of that.
Oh my God. And then me and Jake doing Total Eclipse of the Heart.
That was the highlight of the fucking night.
Really?
Yeah, that was fucking great because both of you were just so fucking annihilated. Jake especially. And he was just so on for everyone to do karaoke. Everyone had to. And whenever I got there, I ate that gummy and I was just like blitzed. I got there, I sat down 10 minutes later, I was like, so I was just kind of chilling and then people were like, hey, what are you doing? I felt so boring just because I wasn't up and mingling and jumping around. Instead, I was sitting there.
You were too busy sitting in the chair being too high.
I know. I was trying to just keep calm. And anyway, eventually I was able to stand up and move around, do things and talk to people. And luckily, Jake had threatened my soul, my very soul. If I didn't do karaoke, he was going to haunt me.
But he's still alive. How is he going to haunt you?
Oh, I don't know. He's going to haunt me somehow. But I took it very seriously. So I got up there and I did karaoke. I did fucking the Violent Femmes added up just as an icebreaker. I had to do something that didn't require a whole lot of finesse. And whenever I started singing, if it sounded bad, oh well, it's Violent Femmes.
And you got to say fuck a few times.
I did. And Caleb's brother was like, yeah, I looked that song up. It's kind of a weird song. I think I got some messed up lyrics. I was like, yeah. And then you drunkenly were very much wanting me to do Billy Idol.
Because you said you would.
I didn't say I would.
The entire time leading up to us going to San Antonio, you were like, I'm going to do Billy Idol at karaoke. I've been practicing in the van by myself.
I did. You made it sound like I had planned it. That is not what had happened. What happened was I said, if I end up doing karaoke, I'll probably do Rebel Yell because I'd been screaming along to it in the car. But you made it sound like that was my plan, that I had set out to do Rebel Yell, and I was like, when I got there, I was like, I don't know if I could do karaoke.
You put it out into the universe.
No, I put it out to you, and you rocked it up to its purest form, and you were like, here, smoke this. It's Billy Idol.
Smoke this karaoke.
All right, so you took Billy Idol, rocked him up to his purest form, and told me to smoke him, and I smoketh him
out of the karaoke pipe.
And then I did Rebel Yell, and Rachel got a little bit of my added up karaoke. No one got the Billy Idol karaoke, and I'm kind of glad.
Aww.
It was really bad. You don't sound as good screaming into a microphone in a room full of people. And
as you do when you're like by yourself
in the car, scream, so
that happens to me all the time.
Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx. Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx. Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx. Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx, Sumo Punx.
Heed me, mortals. I am Lingua Flapsus. I am the god of putting my lingua in your flapsus.
I can't. I am the goddess Swankules, patron deity of the blissful feeling you get when you find out your partner enjoys the same type of porn as you.
And this is Sumo Punx.
God damn it.
I mean, that's kind of a long jump we took from like, oh, let's be cute little cherubic deities about love and relationships. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Leave it to us. We're going to make it.
Always find a way to make it gross. Just the way you said it, though.
What, the heed me, mortals?
Okay. Welcome to our annual Valentine's Day episode, even though we kind of skipped it last year. But anyway, this is our annual, emphasis on the annual Valentine's Day episode. We've got so much fun stuff in store for you guys. We're actually going to have Laurie from Sumo Kaboom on the episode later on. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the upcoming events.
February 24th, the SoCal Sumo Open in San Diego, California.
San Diego!
This is going to be at the City Heights Performance Annex. $30 registration fee. Kids and teens compete for free. So find Honu Sumo on Instagram or anywhere on the internet, and they will be able to show you where you can get registered. April the 6th, the inaugural Sakura Cup Sumo Tournament. This is going to be at Music City Muscle Gym in Nashville, Tennessee. And we are wringing our hands and making finger steeples of evil contemplation about how we're going to try and get out to that one. So.
Well, what we're really doing is hoping the van is going to make it through the mountains in Arkansas.
All right, April 12th and 13th. The Roller Town Showdown.
Fuck yeah!
This is going to be in Salina, Texas at Roller Town Beer Works. Last year's was freaking amazing. And I can only imagine what type of wild shit's going to happen at this one. So this, if there's any sumo tournament that you travel to, let it be this one. This one's badass.
I know Corey and Siggy are in Japan right now making all sorts of connections.
Oh, yeah.
Some really cool people. So I'm positive that's going to bleed into the Roller Town tournament this year as well.
Hell yeah.
Like it did last year.
Yeah. And then May 11th, the U.S. Sumo Open at Walter Pyramid at Cal State Long Beach. More info is at usasumo.com. May 24th, the European Sumo Championships. I can't find anything about this. I know they had a few tournaments in Estonia, and then there's the Roland Cup in Germany, but...
So we don't know where this one's going to be?
I don't. I know that it's several days long, like 3 or 4 days long, and it says May 24th, and it's all of Europe, so... I'm not quite sure. We're definitely going to have more information. But if you're a European and you're listening to this and you're involved in amateur sumo and you have all the information about the European Sumo Championship, send it our way.
That way this doesn't happen on the next episode.
Yeah. And then June 1st, Sumo Nationals. Woo! We're going back to San Diego. So yeah, nationals are going to be held in San Diego. So there's going to be 2 major sumo tournaments being held in San Diego this year.
And both being hosted by Onu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those guys. Christina and JJ. Oh gosh, I can't wait to do the live stream for the SoCal tournament.
I know.
We did it last year. We get to do it again this year.
I am super excited about that. That's why I'm just kind of like, I'm just kind of have like all of this like squee energy built up. But that's going to be a whole lot of fun. The live stream is going to be ran by us, Sumo Punx. We're going to be reporting on the action, so we'll start sending some links as soon as we get everything all organized.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about upcoming events in the amateur sumo world, you can always go to sumo411.com. So, on our annual Valentine's Day episodes, we like to explore the intersection of sumo wrestling and love.
Yeah.
And maybe something a little sexy, too. So, if you've listened to our previous Valentine's Day episode, you may have noticed that we like to find questions from, you know, the deepest, darkest, dirtiest corners of the internet. We scoured these corners to find the weirdest questions we could find about the love and sex lives of sumo wrestlers. Now, Matt has not seen any of the questions that I found for this year's episode. No. So I think I'm going to start with the grossest ones first.
Oh, no.
And as you might have expected, the more grody ones did come from Quora.
Of course.
I don't know what it is about that website. It's just...
Isn't Quora supposed to be one of those... it's like a job interview site. Like you're supposed to feed it like, you know, questions you might get asked at a job interview. And then, you know, people supply answers.
That may have been what it started out as, but that is not what it is now.
Yeah, Quora's... yeah, anything that you were afraid to ask your parents growing up or just too shamed out to ask anybody.
All right, so the first question from Quora.com.
Okay.
Are sumo wrestlers allowed to masturbate since they can't get girlfriends? Now, there's a big assumption there.
A huge assumption. So let's dissect the fat phobia first. You know, because, yeah, I'm a huge fat dude and I get laid. Fuck, you know, there's fat people get laid. I don't know where this is coming from that fat folks don't get laid.
Right?
Man, there's an entire subgenre of fucking pornography
right?
dedicated to, you know, there's one of the things that we encounter as sumo wrestlers are chubby chasers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All the time.
On a regular basis.
Yeah, so
for sure.
People are getting laid in sumo.
So, if you want to give this questioner the benefit of the doubt, maybe they're asking because they know that for the professional rikishi, there can be restrictions when they're in the lower ranks on their dating lives. You know, they can technically have girlfriends, I think, but it can't interfere with their training. Well,
and once they're sekitori, then, you know, all they have to do is just ask, I think. You know, the whole thing is they have to ask their oyakata if they can date. I just think that he's more apt to say yes if they're sekitori.
Right. So... specifically, this question asks if they're allowed to masturbate. So, if you think about your traditional heya setup, most of the wrestlers are all going to be sleeping in the same room.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, there are showers, which may or may not have privacy. But it's one of those things where I think... where there's a will, there's a way, you know?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
No
I was like...
question of allowed
I would say, no,
it.
that's exactly what I was going to say. No one's going to allow me to masturbate or not masturbate. I'm just going to fucking spank it. And I'm sure there's fucking dudes out there, you know, that are... You just practice for like fucking 3 hours and then you had to cook.
Practice masturbating?
You just had Keiko doing sumo for 3 hours, and then you have to go make lunch for all the fucking older guys. And then after you fucking make lunch and then have to eat last, you know, you're just like, fuck, man, I'm so fucking hungry. I only got like the last little bit of chanko, and everybody's all like fucking taking a nap, and I have to wash the dishes. What the fuck, man? So you get that frustrated after doing that bullshit, and you're just like, fuck this. I don't care. I'm just fucking spanking it in the bathroom on top of the squat toilet. And if fucking Mataki Yumi comes in and tries to talk shit to me again, so help me God, I'm just going to fucking fling my spooge at his face.
Oh, no. I mean, would they be able to find time to do it, though? Because especially those lower ranks, they're always so busy. Do you think they could do the dishes one-handed?
Possible.
Okay. I like to imagine that they find a way.
That's
Nature finds a way. So I think it's safe to assume the answer for this question is yes, sumo wrestlers do masturbate.
Yeah.
As far as whether or not they're allowed, if they're not making a mess or making too much of a racket, I'm pretty sure that's allowed.
See, that's the thing. It's like, you know, spanking it's one of those things you don't fucking ask. Like, hey, dude, can I spank it in your bathroom while I shower? It's like, you don't fucking ask. Just fucking spank it and hope no one catches you. So I doubt, like, you know, these dudes that spend a good portion of their time, you know, sprinting into each other, you know, no one's going to tell them they can't spank it.
Exactly. Well, that actually leads us to our next question. Tangentially, how big is the sumo sex organ?
Well, it just depends on, you know, genetics. It depends on your build. It depends on if you know, have like, you know, a giant fupa, you know, like I have. Or if you're, you know, somebody that might be like Tamashoho that probably has like the teeniest fupa.
Aw.
So it just really depends, you know. I'm very certain that there are dudes out there that have like, you know, gigantic fucking schlongs that look like, you know, a small child's leg dangling from between their...
No.
Yeah, and then I'm sure that there's also, you know, guys rocking a tuna can. You know, it's just...
Yeah. You don't think that sumo wrestlers have unnaturally large wangs? You think it's just...
I think we might have talked about this whenever we did the first episode, is that my brother and I, whenever we were little kids, I think I might have been about 12, and I think Tommy was probably like, you know, 9. Mm-hmm. But we were watching, it was like Hard Copy or some shit like that, or like Current Affair, you know, one of those crappy tabloid shows. And then it had an oyakata, and whoever this oyakata was, he was speaking English. And see, let me rewind. I don't know if it was truly an oyakata. It was an older man that was involved in sumo. I remember that. So they were asking, you know, well, do sumo wrestlers have trouble getting girls? And he just laughs hysterically, goes, no, sumo have a pee-pee this big, and just holds his hands up like he's holding a giant cheeseburger. Like, it's like huge, you know, like we're talking eggplant proportions.
Like maybe 1.5 feet apart, yeah.
Yeah, just, anyway, he made it, but he had his hands like, you know, kind of making a curve and a contour to make it look like a vegetable. But no, so he made it look like, you know, sumo wrestlers are just rocking a third leg or a third arm or whatever the fuck.
Like a zucchini between their legs or
Pretty
something.
Much.
Yeah.
But he just thought it was absolutely ridiculous that anyone would question whether or not sumo wrestlers could get women whenever they have just,
like,
you know.
why would you even ask this?
Yeah, like giant fucking schlongs.
They do. They have dicks the size of a loaf of bread. Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of, but you know, we're talking about anybody. True. Whenever you got a big fupa because you have to eat a lot, you're gonna fucking, you know, lose some length.
And for those who are unaware, FUPA is actually an acronym for Fat Upper Pubic Area.
That is true.
So, you know, if you have like a fat upper pubic area, it might kind of hang over the shaft a little bit, but depending on what position you're in, that's not going to make too much of a difference.
Yeah, exactly. It just depends on how you're drilling and how you're feeling.
All right. That does actually lead into the next question. Do sumo wrestlers date giant females?
No, I mean, I think the tallest that I've ever dated, let's see, I think 5'10", maybe.
I don't know why anybody would assume that, like, just because someone is of larger stature, that they also specifically seek out partners of that same stature.
Well, think about it like this. So there was a silly New Age book that I saw whenever I was a teenager that was positing that people are, going to be attracted to who they're diametrically opposite from. So like me being a tall, bigger dude should be attracted to somebody who's slender and short. That's what they're saying is supposed to be like the true opposites. Those are the true opposites that attract. That's who you're supposed to go after. That's, who you're genetically predisposed from if you have a build like you do. And I was like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's not scientific.
Not at all. Not at all. And like I said, it's one of those silly New Age books. So and this is just me personally, I like ass. I mean, like, seriously, I mean, like, just nice, curvy, round ass. But as far as people's body frames, I've dated lots of people of different body frames, different heights, different range of kapow, on the ass scale. It just kind of depends. And it's not just the physical aspect of it. Of course, it's the emotional aspect. Or like, oh my God, I can't believe that we, ate MDMA together and now we're just attached at the hip, kind of thing. So the chemistry, for me personally, has a whole lot to do with it. Not just how they look. And
the chemistry is more important than any sort of specific body shape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they could have, like, this giant fucking ass that could, like, destroy civilizations. But if they're not willing to fucking get down and groove with it, then it's like, okay, I mean, you do your thing. But it just kind of lessens that attraction if, they're not willing to get down with you.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't be opposed to snoo. But there are more important things to consider.
Yes.
Gotcha. Next Cora question we have, what sexual position do sumo wrestlers prefer?
All of them. All of them.
You think so?
I mean, it just depends. I mean, okay, there are, I would say that if there's a sumo wrestler that has like a belly that might be a little bit pulled by gravity than somebody else's. Mm-hmm. So, maybe you just like pulling a good doggy style and you just got to lift your gut up and just put it on top of the butt. And that way you get some good, So I'm saying, I mean, is that how Takakeisho gets down? Is he like, like lifting up the hamster gut on top of the butt and then just and then just fucking hammering away like that? I mean, no, I'm trying to be real here because some people do have bellies that kind of hang further. But you have a guy like fucking, okay, first Tamashoho, Kotoweko, those guys, those guys are fucking probably doing their own version of the Kama Sutra.
Yeah.
Those guys don't look like they probably have too many problems. Fucking, we're talking about Dayamami, Tsurugisho.
Well, you bring up good points because this is something that's not really talked about a lot. People who do have larger bodies, who have an excess of body fat, they have to get more creative with certain things.
Oh, so who I think is probably the most creative is Ura.
You think so?
Well, look at that, because look at how Ura jumps in the air and has to kind of like spin around, is always bouncing off everything. And whenever you look at him from the back, because he's obviously, he's got like his gut and, but his arms and his legs are just so fucking muscled.
Oh, yeah.
And he's flexible. Incredibly flexible. So you have a guy that's like super hardcore and muscled, flexible as a motherfucker, aerodynamic.
I can imagine doing it with Ura. It would just go on like all fucking night and just the most like stamina you've ever seen. And then he'd be like flipping you around in all kinds of directions.
I know, he'd be like,
forwards, backwards, upside down.
He probably has those little Spider-Man web shooter things, so he could like shoot his Spider-Man webs into the corner and just like bang you in the top corner of the ceiling and then fucking swing around back,
When did Ura become Spider-Man?
Oh shit, he probably just thought of it one time. He's like, what'd be really cool is if I could just like, shoot webs while I'm banging. Now I'm gonna get that. I'm doing that. Fuck that shit. I'm doing it now. And then, he just thought of it one time and then he sent all of his money to Amazon.
Same thing with like shibari ropes.
Yeah, but Spider-Man. No, but I really do think that some of the more acrobatic Rikishi, probably do some fucking crazy shit, probably do some more of the wild positions. But I think, look at poor Mataki Yumi. Just got married, his fucking, his wedding night. I'm sure, his knees are probably like all banged up. He's like, come on, let's just do some reverse cowgirl.
Yeah.
Or he might be like, okay, how about you get in the sex swing and then I'll just start kind of hammering away, It's just like, I gotta be careful with my knees. So I could,
Hey, sometimes sex furniture can also be an ability aid.
Yeah. See, that's why we need a chase lounge.
Oh, yeah. I got one saved in my Amazon wish list right now.
But no, it's the positions, again, it just varies by individual, like what are you feeling? What's your partner feeling? And then, you just got to communicate too. You're like, hey, you want to try this? Or like, hey, how about you move your leg up over here? Oh, how about I take your other leg and move it up over here? Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Well, let's try something else.
How about I take your third leg and move it here?
But it's just communication. You have to ask. I mean, if you're too shamed out to ask, how in the hell you expect to get them off?
Exactly. Jesus. Exactly. Good communication is how you get off.
Yeah. You just got to put your face down there and just start practicing your Japanese.
Oh, God. All right. Moving on to the next question.
Gambarimasu.
This is actually the last question we have from Cora. I did get questions from other parts of the internet. No. And this was one of the few that I found that actually had an answer already.
Oh, no.
The question is, since sumo wrestlers are considered to be sexy in Japan, how is it even possible to have intercourse with someone with such a massive belly?
Like I said, there's just different body types. There's different builds of sumo wrestler. Not every single sumo wrestler out there is going to be built like me.
You know what? You figure it out.
Exactly.
Right?
Where there's a will, there's a way.
When you first became sexually active, dear listener, how did you figure it out? It's the same thing. It's just you figure it out with a different body type.
Yeah.
So the response that this question got went thusly. Not every sumo wrestler has a massive belly. Some of them just look very strong, and others do have bellies. Anyway, with or without belly, they're sexy because they're successful, and women always love a successful man, regardless physical appearance.
Well.
So this sort of implies that women would not be attracted to their physical appearance. They would just be attracted to their
wealth and success.
Their wealth and fame and whatnot. But as you mentioned earlier, there are plenty of people out there whom that is exactly what they are attracted to, is that particular physical body form.
Do you remember whenever the term dad bod kind of got coined, like was about 10, 15 years ago, somewhere around there? And they coined that term because they did a study where they were showing different women, different male body types and, what body types they found most attractive. And it was overwhelmingly the dad bod.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're, the big muscly, whatever kind of bodybuilder type was like, they definitely had their fans. But whenever it comes to holistically all around, like, the chemistry, the body type, the like just who are you attracted to type thing, it was the dad bod. So a lot of sumo wrestlers have that. They're just kind of naturally built like that.
Except with, a lot more muscle underneath.
Exactly. But, you do have a lot of different variations. There's guys that just can't hold on that much weight. If you look at Sandanme, you have a lot of just really wiry, muscly guys that just can't put on a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those guys have if the Oyakata lets them go out and try to bang, I'm sure they have no trouble banging.
Yeah.
And think about that. When you're in Japan and you're wearing a yukata and a top knot out on the street, there's a whole subculture, of women out there that love sumo wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're not going to have any problems. So, sumo-san?
Yeah.
Sumo-san.
I've dated all sorts of different people of all different body types. Yeah. I've dated, really scrawny, super high metabolism, only 7% body fat.
Yeah.
And I've also dated, like, you know, very large, squishy body types as well. And for me, I actually found I did prefer the more large, squishy body types. And it really, I never thought of it before until I started experiencing, like, being with these different types of people. And it's just from experience, you know? You don't really know if you're going to like something or not unless you try it.
Yeah.
So, if, like I said, for me, it was just like, oh, this is so much more comfortable. You know, someone to keep me warm. Like, someone to be a pillow for me.
I can see that. See, for me, like, I have this weird caveman reaction whenever I see big asses. I don't know what that is, what that's about. It's just like I was wired that way since I was about like a little kid. Like, just giant asses just do it for me. I think it comes from growing up on the res where no one has an ass. Seriously, we all have like flat fry bread butts out there. I mean, look at my ass. I'm working on it. I'm proud to say when I was looking at those pictures and video of my ass from the Met, I was like, man, compared to 2-3 years ago, my ass is looking a lot better. So I'm working on my ass.
You know, the first time in my life that I ever felt sexy was, I think I was like maybe 13, 14, and I learned that there are people in the world who are attracted to a bubble butt.
That's me.
I was reading like 17 magazine or some shit, you know, back at the end of the 90s, and I was reading this article. It was about different body shapes and whatnot, and it was like, oh yeah, some people like really prefer a nice full bubble butt. I think that's the term they used was back then was just bubble butt.
Bubble butt. Yeah,
Major Lazer wasn't around at that time. But it made me feel for the first time in my life, hey, I have this amazing asset that, you know, plenty of people in the world will see as an added benefit to being with me. Because I was, you know, pretty shy and, like, awkward when I was a teenager. And I pretty much felt like I wouldn't start dating until I was already out of college.
Oh.
You know, luckily that wasn't what happened. But I appreciate guys like you is what I'm trying to say.
So, you know, in my, you know, quest for, you know, for huge asses, you know, but the body type just kind of, you know, but let me preface this by saying you can have any kind of body frame and still have a huge ass.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm leaving it at that. Ass.
Okay. Well, stay tuned for the second half of this episode because it's going to be ass-tastic. As I had mentioned, I did have to go scouring another part of the internet for some more questions. I actually ended up on Reddit.
Ooh.
Which can be a scary place,
but it can
also be a pretty fantastic place.
See, outside of sumo memes, I just kind of feel kind of about a lot of Reddit.
Yeah, it's like treading a minefield, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I actually found that the questions that popped up on Reddit were a bit more thoughtful.
Huh.
So the first question I have here: do the hot Japanese girls who marry professional sumo wrestlers find them physically attractive? How?
Well, I'm sure. Who did Takayasu marry? That Inca singer?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm very certain that there are still arranged marriages out there, you know, but there are also those that are, you know, marriages of love. Who was it that they were? Was it Endo or someone got married and they described his wife as a commoner?
Oh.
I know, a commoner.
I think that was Endo.
Yeah, it was one of those guys, but So there are women out there that do find them attractive. There was somebody that brought up a good point. I don't know why this made me think of this right now, but remember our whole tirade about Rudin and, his mistress and his wife and all that. Someone was saying that what if, Rudin's marriage was one of those arranged ones?
Oh, it was Caleb.
Yeah,
it was Caleb.
Could have been arranged for business, and then, that's like his side piece, but that's
maybe they have an open relationship.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was some other stuff going on there that seemed kind of shady, but who knows? That may be true.
So I'm thinking that those types of arrangements are probably more common than what we're led to believe.
Yeah. I mean, the Rikishi do be banging a lot of hot chicks, though.
They do. And that's the thing is, in Japan, the way that, pro Rikishi are perceived is a lot different than how people in the U.S. perceive just like, a fat dude at the bowling alley.
Right.
So,
they're close to like deityhood.
Yeah.
They're a national symbol of Japan. They're very important in Japanese society.
Yeah, and not only that, but they're all over the media. They're making all of this money, and so it's kind of like it is pretty much the equivalent of like, a fucking pro athlete here in the US.
Yeah.
Maybe there's not as much fucking money and Nike
a lot of those dudes
endorsements
in the
flying around.
NFL have very similar builds
exactly.
to pro Rikishi.
I was about to say, any guy that's like an offensive lineman, is probably going to be built like a Rikishi.
Right? And they have hot girlfriends too.
Oh, hell yeah, they do. So, but that's the thing though, is like, a lot of these guys that ask these types of questions probably haven't even had their attention like turned to someone like a pro football player, because to them, he's a pro football player. Of course he's going to get all the chicks, because in their brains and their realm of experience, that just makes sense. That goes without saying to them.
Yeah, no, it's the status quo that's never questioned.
Yeah. But in Japan, the status quo that's never questioned could be very much like, oh my God, look at these hot fucking Rikishi.
And I think part of it too is that you get to see more of a Rikishi than you do a pro sports person in the US, because all they're wearing is a mawashi. So you really get to see every roll, every fat roll, every fold.
Or every muscle striation, every fucking bulging vein, every fucking,
So you may not realize that a lot of these like highly revered sportsmen and even like other celebrities are really carrying around a lot of extra weight, a lot of extra fat even.
Yeah.
But they still have like, hot girlfriends or wives or whatever. And I think another part of it is that there's this weird expectation that like conventionally attractive people can only date other conventionally attractive people. And that doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Hell no.
But the questions that I found on Reddit actually did have a lot more answers to them already than the questions that I found on Quora. Huh. So the notes that I had about this question, there were two of them. First one says, most of the answers involve some denial of them being physically attractive and attribute it to their money and or fame instead. Which is sad. We mentioned that a little bit earlier too, where there's an assumption that someone couldn't be physically attracted to somebody with that body type, which is not the case at all. One of the responses was actually pretty racist as well, which I guess is to be expected with Reddit. It was the whole stereotype of like, oh, Japanese men are so effeminate, so of course their women would be attracted to like these super masculine, big burly dudes. It was just fucking
But those
stupid.
Big masculine, big burly dudes a lot of them are Japanese.
Well, yeah.
What the fuck? What a bunch of dumbasses.
But no. All Japanese men are just like these weak, effeminate dudes. I mean, yeah, the Rikishi are... No, that's the logic. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
They're just wanting to make these goofy fucking, like, all-encompassing fucking assumptions. But, oh, what? No, but not that guy.
Yeah.
Dumbasses.
It's fucking stupid. Next question from Reddit also came with a couple of answers. The question is, how does a sumo wrestler's sex life compare to other professional athletes? The responses to this question mostly talk about how the Rikishi crush major amounts of tail. But there is an expectation that they're just really discreet about it.
Yeah.
And again, because this is Reddit, this thread somehow devolved into a discussion about how multiculturalism is apparently bad.
Oh, God. Of course it had to fucking devolve into that. Man, just get those fucking goddamn asshats the fuck out of there. Jesus. We get it. You're a dumbass.
Yeah. But yeah, they're pretty, most of the other people were pretty much right. You know, they can have relationships, and as long as they're not like super drama-y about it.
Like Taka no Hana.
Yeah. But compared to other professional athletes, I'd say it's probably about the same, except for that. You know, Japan is still a pretty conservative culture. So even outside of sumo, you don't see a lot of relationships that have a lot of like PDA. You know, even holding hands can be seen as like too much for the public eye.
Well, that and a lot of people in Japan are kind of shy about talking about their love lives anyway. Yeah. I mean, like whenever we're watching those sumo food, Futogoyama, Bea videos, like they were trying to, do that to Shiden. They're like, oh, well, Shiden's looking for a girlfriend. Ooh, Shiden. He's just kind of blushing, just trying to eat his food, but Hidena Umi just won't let it go. So, I could see Hidena Umi because he just seems like just a guy he's a rascal. Mm-hmm. And I could see him just like bringing that up just to give Shiden some hell. Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where it's okay to kind of mention it, but maybe not go so far into depth and detail about it.
Right. Like, you look at a lot of the pro rikishi, when we find out that they're getting married, we don't even know ahead of the time that they even had a girlfriend. Yeah. Like, again, recently with Mitakeumi, I didn't know he was seeing anybody.
All they really do is just kind of give you like a quick tabloid snippet of who they might be with, or if they get married, that's pretty much it. Oh, they got married over the weekend. Yeah. But they never really go, even the tabloids don't go into that big a detail.
Yeah. No, I feel like I only ever find out that one of the rikishi has gotten married like a couple of days after it actually happens, and I have to find out from like Instagram or something,
What about like Terunofuji? Didn't Terunofuji have like fucking 10 weddings or something like that whenever he first got married? Because like I think it was during the pandemic, so he had to have everything all small. So it just seems like I saw dozens of different wedding pictures of Terunofuji's wedding.
Oh, like he had to have a few different ceremonies, like for different groups of people.
I was wondering, it's like, why does he keep getting married over and over again? Is he a bridezilla? Is Terunofuji a bridezilla? He's like, I wanted buttercream frosting, Tsupari smash.
All right, next question. This was a really intriguing one. Are there any active gay sumo wrestlers in the divisions right now?
Oh, yeah. But and good luck trying to get them to admit it.
Right. Second part to the question, is it taboo in the community? So, yes, as you said, statistically, this is very likely, but you're not going to hear about it. It's not going to happen.
I've seen some pictures of, some very, what's that word that I'm looking for? Very comfortable cuddling and snuggling. So I don't know if
some cultures are just...
That's what I was about to say. Some cultures...
more comfortable with that sort of thing in a platonic way.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. Is like, so you can't really take that as like hard evidence. Mm-hmm. But whenever they say things like, oh, no, I'm not interested in women, I like men. Then you're like, oh, all right then.
Well, I think somebody in this Reddit thread also mentioned that it was Futogoyama.
Oh, shit. Yeah. The sumo food.
The responses include more discussion about how Japanese culture views romance as a more private matter. Yeah. So it would be very unlikely we'd get a definitive answer on whether any specific rikishi is gay, as it is taboo to publicly discuss any kind of romantic relationship, regardless of its orientation. One of the responses mentions that Futagoyama Bea video where one of the Rikishi apparently admits that he likes men and likes to flirt with them. But
I think that was that the Q&A episode? I'll have to go back and watch
I don't know.
that.
I did rewatch that episode to see if it was that one, but I couldn't find it. They've got so many videos.
Oh, they do.
One responder had this to say. Sekitori are considered highly eligible for marriage, and sumo tradition dictates they should marry. So an unmarried Sekitori, especially one who aspires to become an oyakata after retirement, is a bit suspicious. I'm not going to mention names, but you and I are probably thinking of the same guy. And then one of the responses was just, hey, remember when Baruto played a gay man on my brother's husband?
Oh my
Which was
God.
also cool.
I gotta find that. I gotta find Baruto acting.
Yes. But yeah, gay Rikishi. I mean, I've definitely got some that I suspect.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't have to name names, but, you know. I think a lot of people suspect the same ones that I do.
Yeah, but the ones that are, readily open to say, yeah, I'm gay, where's the dudes? Bring them on. I mean, if they're willing to, say, hey, this is who I am, then I'll be like, all right, that's this dude. But until then, we're just going to have to leave them anonymous for now.
Yeah, because I don't think that gay marriage is even legal in Japan yet, is it?
That I do not know.
Yeah, I watched a video about it a while ago. I know that from what I've seen, almost every gay person in Japan just doesn't mention their orientation because, because it's kind of taboo to talk about your love life to begin with, and B, because they're afraid of things like discrimination, like being looked over for a promotion at work or things of that nature.
There are a few celebrities that are gay in Japan, that are openly gay in Japan. But, they're celebrities. They don't have to worry about getting promoted.
Oh, yeah. Just like there have been openly gay celebrities in U.S. history, even as far back as when they were giving gay people lobotomies.
Yeah.
So it's not unheard of. But to any of the gay Rikishi out there who might be listening to our little podunk podcast, we send you our support, and we wish you all of the strength, security, and love in the world. Last question that we have from Reddit. How do weddings work in the world of sumo? Are they arranged? For example, Hakuho. Was his wife introduced to him, or did they start dating normally? And what about those that are not champions? Do they have the same privilege as a champion to choose a wife?
Well, we did kind of...
We went over that a little bit, yeah.
And we did go over Teruno Fuji being a bridezilla and had 10 different weddings.
We did, yes.
But
there were some very interesting responses to this one as well. Some of the answers detailed restrictions on lower-level Rikishi marrying, which we've discussed. Some of the discussion was about marrying the Oyakata's daughter for the mostly the Sekitori, who are planning on taking over the stable once they retire. Which I guess is... It used to be a bigger thing, but it's not as big of a thing now.
It still happens, I mean, there's still some... I think what was his name? Shimano Umi actually is kind of in one of those arrangements. It's funny because he ended up getting married and, to Oyakata's daughter, and then immediately plunged down to Juryo.
Aww. And it's still technically a Sekitori, though.
Yeah. I think there's more pressure for Sekitori to either date and or marry people of a higher social status, especially since we heard, someone's significant other referred to as a commoner.
Yeah. Well, there's just a lot of pressure for Rikishi to marry in general. Well, especially the Sekitori, because anyone below that level isn't really allowed to marry most of the time. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure for them to marry just because of the very traditional aspect of sumo. Yeah. Like it's very conservative, very tradition focused, and marriage is part of that tradition. You know, it's keeping that aspect of Japanese culture going through sumo.
Yeah, so what I have noticed is that, and it's not just within the sumo world, but pretty much just within aristocrats and oligarchs in general, is that they are expected to marry somebody of a higher social status or someone of an adequate enough social status for them, because if they marry someone lower, it could potentially lower the overall value of the perception of their family or whatever, you know. So I'm very convinced, whenever Caleb brought up that whole deal about, you know, Rudin and his wife and his mistress, do they all have that arranged? You know, I am 100% that there are those types of arrangements out there.
Well, that was part of the discussion as well, is that a lot of the Rikishi recently have kind of broken that mold a bit and started dating and marrying people that they actually are attracted to, instead of just what's going to be more beneficial for them socially or what have you. But there was one response in particular that I wanted to highlight, and I think you're going to like this one.
Okay.
This one actually gives some background to Hakuho's relationship. Ooh. They said, Hakuho met his wife at an event where many young athletes gathered in 2003. His wife was a pretty successful high school skater at the time. Asa Shoryu introduced the two. Just days prior to this event, Asa Shoryu had met some businessmen who were sumo enthusiasts, as well as their families, and that's where he met Sayoko. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Sayoko?
Sayoko.
Hakuho was too shy to ask for her number, so Haruma Fuji stepped in and got her number for him. They started talking and texting, also sending letters to each other like normal kids. Hakuho said he had to study Japanese even harder because he wanted to communicate with her freely. He would send her cheesy quotes from dramas, and Sayoko-chan would attempt to write words and sentences in Mongolian.
Oh,
isn't that adorable?
You know, the
also, Haruma Fuji coming in being the wingman.
It's funny because my brain, whenever you were reading that to me, was imagining some like silly J drama, you know, with them all as teenagers. You know? And maybe 18, 19 or so. You know how we watch Sumo Do, Sumo Don't.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like, you know, them all baby faced, just cheesing all hard. The Hakuho's like, oh no, I can't. And Haruma Fuji's like, I guess I'll go do it.
Step aside, nerd. Gotta do all your work for you. Oh my god, that's so fantastic though. And like just the characters involved, Asa Shoryu.
I know. Oh my god, you know how like they do like drunk history? Mm-hmm. And because I've always wanted to do like a drunk sumo history with someone that drinks and just get them loaded. But anyway, you know how they always get people to like dress up like who they're reenacting or whatever, and then like they do the lines of the drunk person telling the story. Yeah. I want to do that with that like Hakuho, Haruma Fuji, Asa Shoryu dating kind of thing. Aww. That'd be a hilarious fucking thing to see. Somebody make that happen. Somebody do that.
Well, that's all the questions that I cared to gather from the internet this time.
Because I'm sure there were worse ones out there.
Oh, there were. There were some that I definitely had to leave out. But the episode's not over yet.
Uh-oh.
Joining us now to talk about sumo butts is Laurie from Sumo Kaboom. Laurie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderfully. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little sweaty, but you know.
Me too. Me too. I'm a little nervous to have this discussion, but I am honored to be considered an expert of sumo butts.
Matt, why don't you tell Laurie why we invited her onto this episode to talk about sumo butts?
Whenever Laurie and Bruce from Tachi blog did the commentary for the live stream of the inaugural Cowboy Cup sumo tournament, there was just a second in time, just a moment of clarity. I think it was in between the different divisions. She had noticed somebody's muscular buns. It was probably Justin Kizzert.
Yeah, probably. Exactly.
But she just goes, Bruce, I want to talk about men's butts. And then Bruce was like, I'm not a subject matter expert. And then just ever since then, that part cracked me up. And like, I've just always wanted to do this. And, you know, you guys are like our podcasting heroes, you know. So whenever we first got to meet you, I was like so starstruck. Remember at the, it was at the Botanical Gardens in Fort Worth.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, oh my God.
I remember seeing you. I remember seeing your jacket from across the garden. And I was like, that man looks cool, but slightly intimidating. So I probably won't go talk to him. And then you turned around and you were like, hello. And I was like, oh, I love you. I just absolutely love you.
And then you gave me a hug and I was just like, oh my God, she hugged me.
No, you and Leslie are part of the reason why we decided to start a sumo podcast. So thank you for the inspiration.
I am so glad you guys did, because the world would just be a little sadder without your podcast in it.
Oh,
thank you.
And it goes then all the way back to Sumo Mainichi and maybe even Grand Sumo Breakdown, because I think Mainichi got inspired by Breakdown. We got inspired by Mainichi.
Yeah.
And y'all got inspired by that whole train then.
Oh, it's just a big sumo podcasting family.
Yeah, we're just a giant interconnected railroad of podcasting and sumo.
Yeah.
And sumo butts.
Yep.
And sumo butts, yes. So the first thing I wanted to start off with here is a term that we found, a Japanese term. And I want to know if you've ever heard of this before. I hope I pronounced this correctly. It's puriketsu, or puriketsu, you could say, I guess, as well. Have you ever heard of the term puriketsu?
No, but I like the way in Texan speak, it would be puriketsu.
Oh,
like that. So my question is,
ketsu.
so what's a ketsu?
Okay, puriketsu means rounded backside, jutting out buttocks, bubble butt, or badonkadonk.
Badonkadonk?
I almost couldn't say it. This is the definition from japandict.com. That's DICT, not DICK, japandict.com. So basically, if you have a Rubenesque bubble butt, you know, a very prominent derriere, they say you have a puriketsu. So this brings us into the question, what makes a good butt?
What makes a puriketsu?
Yeah.
What makes a puriketsu? Okay, well, as an expert on this, I would like to say one thing before we jump into what makes a really nice butt.
Okay.
I would like to preface all of my opinions with this. I've always felt like watching sumo is as close as we're ever going to get to like watching the original Olympics where the athletes competed naked.
Yeah.
And I've always thought one of the coolest things about the sport is getting able to see so much more of the human body in action and getting to see athletes do what they do from head to toe. Almost.
Especially very large athletes, you know, especially here like in America and Western culture, we're not used to seeing larger bodies with a lot more fat on them and stuff like that. So, you know, people wonder what that looks like, and it may change their perception of those larger bodies as well, because there is some stigma, you know, but these are powerful dudes.
Yeah. Well, and we're just not used to seeing so much flesh, so much skin, unless it's, you know, like a bikini model in a magazine or something. Getting to see all these different shapes and sizes from head to toe is a gift. I've always felt like it's a gift. And it's one of the things I've really appreciated about sumo. Okay. And initially, like I tried as hard as I could to watch their hands and their feet, but I just couldn't watch anything except the backside initially. Because it's just so cool to see. I'd never seen those muscles in action quite the same way.
Right.
and you get the full on squat in the TV views. So you might as well just appreciate it.
Just take
right?
it in.
Yeah. Just waft, just let the waft come all over you. It's really
like
amazing.
Ura sniffing his own farts. Yes.
Yes. You just have to appreciate like all of the things that come with sumo. So I just want to preface what makes a good bum with that, right? There are all kinds of good bums out there.
Absolutely.
And we get to see lots of different kinds in sumo. But the bubble butt that I think the Puri Ketsu is talking about would be like the Ishiura butt, like the butt that comes from doing a lot of squats and heavy weightlifting on the bottom half, like the kind of butt that you could like bounce a quarter off of, like so just like an apple butt. Daisho has a butt like that too, like full meaty Myogiryu bubble. Both hands would probably get one cheek, right?
I love the claw that you're making with your hand right now.
But no, see, my mom had like a very similar sentiment, because of course I made my mom watch sumo,
Yeah.
But my mom, whenever we lived in Norman, Oklahoma, she was a huge University of Oklahoma football fan, and like college football in Norman's super serious. So she would watch, Saturday, watch games, and she would just be like amazed at, these giant boys, in all the pads and helmets and all that. But she was just amazed at how fast, how swift they were. She loved watching the human body just kind of move like that. And she was like, wow. So when
they wear some tight pants.
Yeah, when she saw sumo though, that's whenever she was like, oh my God, look at this. So it wasn't just like, some of like, the bigger boys. She was looking at some of the more muscly boys too.
Yeah.
And she was just like, look at that guy's butt. She was just like, amazed, and she kind of had that hungry kind of look on her face, like, is that ham? Give me the ham.
You're just kind of I do like a butt with a little bit of jiggle, and I may be biased because I myself am often told that I have a puriketsu. So I do like to see the way that it moves. Besides just the muscles, it is great to see how those particular muscle groups work. When they're in action, it's just very fascinating. But also, if it's a little bouncy, that's fun to see. It's like a lava lamp. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So, okay, here's my question to you. So, when you talk about like jiggle in the junk, are you talking about how it's used, or are you talking a natural jiggle?
Like a natural jiggle, I think.
Oh, like a kaisei? Like a kaisei butt?
Yeah, like a kaisei, like a I'm trying to think of another good example.
Maybe someone absorbs like a hard tachi-ai and the angles from the back, and you get that
ripple.
It's still a muscular ass, but you still like a little bit of whoom whoom.
The cheeks clap a little,
But like like a Chiyomaru butt.
Yes.
Chiyomaru has a great
That's a prime example, because he does have so much power in his glutes. Whenever he gets down in Sankyo to accept his winnings, you could just see they're just like fists almost, but he still got a little bit of cushion.
A little jiggle, yeah. Maybe a Takayasu butt would be in that category.
Takayasu, definitely Takayasu. Yes, Takayasu butt does have that jiggle I'm talking about
and
for sure. But now that we're kind of starting to go into talking about the individual rikishi, let's go ahead and discuss the votes that we got for these guys. So we asked our listeners, whose butt in sumo do you think is the best butt? We didn't set forth any specific criteria, just in your opinion, who has the best butt on the Banzuke? And we got a lot of different answers. We'll give you the winners of the best butt contest, I guess you can call it. Although I'm not planning on sending any of these guys any prizes. Maybe we'll see. So we got a lot of answers, and some of them were a little surprising. Some of them were retired guys. Okay. So we're going to start off with Koto Shoho, who got 1 vote.
And,
one. I thought you were starting with like number one. That he got one vote.
Yes, we're gonna start at the bottom and work our way up to the winner.
All right.
So Kosho Shoho got 1 vote. Taka Kento got 1 vote.
I don't know his butt.
So Taka Kento, he's in jury, or he was in jury. I think he got injured, but he was the guy that before he would get down in his squat to start the bout, he would always stretch his gut out in his opponent's face like that, and then he'd get down. Always just love his like little gut stretch. I'm like, yeah, it's just like he's in his intimidation factor.
Nice.
But no, he does have a powerful butt, powerful Juryo butt.
Yeah.
Okay.
This next one was kind of surprising for only getting 1 vote because he actually won this contest the first time we did it. Tochinoshin got 1 vote. Of course, he is retired now, or he is, I think his Danpatsuki's today, or it was yesterday.
It's within the next few days. Corey actually is from Dallas Sumo Club. Corey's going to go to his Danpatsuki. He's in Japan right now.
Okay, so it hasn't happened yet. But yeah, Tochinoshin won the first year we did this. This year, he only got 1 vote.
Well, his butt is instantly recognizable. So I completely understand that. That's like a celebrity butt.
Yes.
So if you're going to put in a celebrity vote, that's the one to go for. Yeah, everybody knows that butt.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. No, the forklift certified Tochinoshin butt. Yes.
And trademark Band-Aid.
Yes, trademark Band-Aid.
Yep.
We also got 1 vote for the retired Wakano Hana.
Okay.
We got 1 for Wakamoto Haru, who I personally think is...
1?
Just one. Just 1 vote for Wakamoto Haru.
No, you have 2, because I am going to vote for that. I love that butt. That's a great butt. I can't believe only 1 person out there voted for that butt. Oh.
Well, listen to the whole list, and then we'll circle back around to that. So, no pun intended. And, and ask you again if that's still your vote for Wakamoto Haru. Midori Fuji also got 1 vote. Surprisingly, Papa Bear Takayasu only got 1 vote.
I know.
I expected Takayasu really to get more.
I thought he was gonna just win this thing, honestly.
Yeah. This next one's actually rather interesting, and we do have a comment from Reddit for this one. Miyogiryu got 2 votes.
Oh, yeah, he's got a great butt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Sumo Fan A1 on Reddit says, it simultaneously depresses me and infuriates me that none of yous have mentioned the best gluteus maximus of the business, Miyogiryu. He went under everyone's radar but mine. Thankfully, I'm right, as per usual.
Well,
very confident.
Okay. I think there's some sort of relationship between your butt and your swagger. Yeah. Because Miyogiryu has the best swagger in the business. And I've always kind of thought it has something to do with the size of their thighs as well. But he's got there's some sort of relation to the butt there that brings that swagger right into the butt. And he's got, his is pretty bubble butt too. And it's very, very muscular. So it's very Takayasu-like.
Yeah.
This is like fine wines. It's really hard to distinguish between the two, but I like where this person's going.
You know, I'm glad you said it's hard to distinguish between the two, because I actually have that problem fairly often where if I'm trying to figure out who's up next, who's in this next bout, and I haven't seen their face yet, I've only seen their butt, sometimes I know instantly. Other times, you know, there are some butts similar to that butt, and I gotta kind of look at some other factors, especially if they have the same Awashi color.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes if they're new, if they're new to Juryo or new to the top division, it takes a while to learn the lines and the angles before you can pick up that butt from far away.
Yep. Miyogiryu, whenever we were watching that Sumo Do documentary that was released in Japan a few years ago, that had some footage of him in the gym, doing his squats, and they were measuring his legs. He has a very low percentage of body fat. He's mostly muscle, and his legs, whenever they were measuring his thighs, and this is before I really started doing sumo myself seriously and really trying to work out. His thighs were as big around as mine when I was at 500 300 pounds, and his was just nothing but muscle.
Yeah.
Just muscle. And I was like, that's one of the things that inspired me. I was like, I'm just getting up and doing Shiko right now.
Yeah. And I think it's that same documentary where he's flipping tractor tires over in his training. Yeah, that man does some massive leg work and is just jacked. That man is so in shape.
I got massive respect for his workout and, you know, just like how hard he works after watching that. And I'm like, man, I got to start working that hard.
You've been talking about trying to find a tractor tire ever since.
I did.
You did?
I did. And they responded. I was like, hey, do you guys there's a little tractor tire shop in Denton County. And I just sent an email. I was like, hey, do you guys have any leftover used tires I just want to get for working out? And they replied in all caps, yes, come pick them up.
Oh, hell yeah!
Are you going to?
Oh, yeah. I just got to take the van and start flipping those tires.
But... Oh, I can't wait till you get that Mule Gear you butt.
I know. It's coming, dang it. I'm going to get the Mule Gear butt.
Yeah, that's right. Just 10 or 15 years of all squats and you'll have it.
Hell yeah. Okay, the next on the list was Asa Koryu with 2 votes as well.
So he used to be Ishizaki, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, because I remember whenever he was down in Makushita, it was, I guess now Asa Koryu and then the other guy Miyagi, because they were both little tanks, like little short guys that are like way muscular. I mean, these guys are like bodybuilder style. And then they both got up to Makushita and they had like, you know, the long hair because they had advanced in rank too fast to have the chonmage fully grow out, you know. Right. But it was cool just seeing these 2 like long-haired, like muscly guys, you know. But it's cool to see Asa Koryu, you know, getting up there. But that butt, jeez, that's another thing where it just looks like 2 fists, you know, just intimidating you. Just there's a Mawashi and there's just 2 fists just looking for you.
Yeah.
So this next one, I honestly would expect to win this if he were still an active Rikishi. It's Chiyono Fuji who got 2 votes. If you've ever seen pictures of him back in the day, especially when he's doing the Dohyo Iri, oh my god, just the muscles on that man, you know? And it's not just like the glutes, it's like his legs as well. I mean, he was just head to toe, very muscular, like the body of a Greek god or something. But
yeah, he was beautiful. He was just stunning to look at, and such a great sumo wrestler.
Oh yeah.
But Lin Matsuoka told us that he also could be a bit like he knew he was beautiful.
He knew he was beautiful.
Yeah, and he wouldn't let people forget it. So,
you know what? I'm gonna let him have it. That's fine.
Okay.
My mom actually, like, that's the guy when she thinks of hot sumo wrestlers. That's the guy my mom goes to, and the fact that he kind of had that attitude of "I know I'm beautiful," I know that would just endear my mom to him even more.
She likes those kinds.
She likes those kinds of guys.
Yeah.
Next we had Tamawashi with 2 votes.
Oh,
there was.
I don't think I've ever looked so much at his butt. I'm gonna have to take a second look.
So there was a guy on there's a live streamer, a sumo live streamer, Midnight Sumo, that has a chat, and this guy is in the chat his name's the Gayest Satan, and on his little tagline,
shout out to the Gayest Satan.
On his little tagline though, he put Puriketsu expert. Him, and then there was another Redditor, I think that also has, you know, the Puriketsu expert on there. But no, it's in all the live streams and all the chats. Anytime Tamawashi's, he makes it known that Tamawashi ass is king of all the upper division asses. That's his opinion, and anyone else's opinion is wrong according to him. But okay.
I see. Now, is that a tag that I can claim as well? Can I just say hashtag Puriketsu expert?
Yes.
On all my opinions?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. I might steal that. That's pretty good.
You've got a PhD in booty. PhD, pretty hot derriere. There we go.
Yes, I like it.
All right, next one is Koto Echo with 2 votes. I actually kind of expected him to get a few more as well.
I did too.
But Koto Echo, also a very well-built man.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a little bit recently, but he's still looking pretty good.
Yeah, he is very, very muscular. So there's people that like their guys muscular, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of guys, a lot of voters were, I think, more on the who has the most muscular butt side of the spectrum of butt opinions.
But it does start to change a little bit, as we get up towards the top.
All right, good.
It does, for sure. So next at 2 votes, we have Shishi, which I'm not sure about this one.
So Shishi's butt is more like Tochinoshin's butt, but Tochinoshin had a lot of time to work on his legs, and because not just his butt but his legs were enormous. But Shishi is still a young wrestler, and he's still working his way up, working his way up in experience and building his legs and his vessel.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that when Shishi gets a little bit older and he's been in pro sumo for a few more years, he's going to lose some of his softer baby features and get some chiseled, more hardcore features.
I think maybe for Shishi we can say he has those Eastern European genes that give you a very powerful butt, regardless of the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Next one of my favorites, Ura, had 3 votes. And
really?
Yes, we do have a comment on Ura from Instagram user Sumo Tofu. He says, there are no better Valentine's buns than those cheeseburger buns on our favorite cheeseburger boy, Ura.
Yeah. Yeah, these are like character buns. Yeah.
They are. Thank you. That's the term right there. Character buns.
Character buns.
Yes. For
like
sure.
a hot cross bun. They're nice and big and sweet, and I totally get it. Yeah. And it's also with Ura, I think it's also a nod to what he can do with those buns.
Oh yeah.
Because they're incredibly flexible.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never seen anybody be able to twist and move the way he can on those buns. So
that is true. The way he could spin horizontally in midair. I'm amazed at that core and butt strength to just do that. I'm jealous.
Go get that tractor tire.
But also, just his legs in general, his calves. Ura's calves are just they're just giant. Like giant state fair turkey legs.
They
are so solid. He's so solid.
We're getting to the top of the list now. Next, we have Chiyomaru at 4 votes.
Oh, okay. Yay.
That's an undeniably powerful ass.
That is an undeniably powerful ass. I had waffled between voting for Chiyomaru and a few others. One of the ones I was thinking of was Takeyasu, and then we'll get to the other one in a minute.
Okay.
But I don't think anybody can deny that, yes, Chiyomaru has a very powerful ass.
He is Mr. Sumo.
True.
And part of that includes having a powerful ass.
Yes.
Yep. Agreed.
Next, we have Kiho at 5 votes. So, he's one of these younger dudes, and he does have a very well-defined gluteus. I think part of the reason why maybe some people voted for him is because we've had a lot of good pictures of him from behind. So
okay.
And those Shiko pictures, because he's got a high Shiko like Abi does, just that huge high Shiko. But whenever he does that Shiko, it flexes some of those aesthetically pleasing muscles.
Does he have a butt like Abi's?
I would say he has a better butt than Abi.
Yeah,
I would dare say
than Abi.
Okay.
He's another guy that's just super defined.
Okay.
All right. Next on the list is Hakuoho with 8 votes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hakuoho.
And what's cool about this, it wasn't just people saying, that they aesthetically liked his butt. It was a whole lot of people saying, he packs a lot of power into that butt. And, whenever there were a few action shots, when he's kind of doing a Nuchari or kind of pivoting, and you could just see rock hard, but, flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Like there needs to be a category for not only what your butt looks like, but what you do with your butt. Because
Yes.
Ura's butt needs to be in that category. He can do very different things with his butt. This guy, Hakuo, I know exactly what you mean. It's like a guy that can just run forward through a concrete wall
Yeah.
with his butt. Yeah.
Run backwards, maybe.
Yeah. Like he needs an award for it. And there's some other guys too that might be on your list coming up. So we'll see.
We've come to the top 3. So in third place, we have Takara Fuji with 11 votes.
And he's in third place.
He's in third place. Yes.
Okay.
We have a comment.
I can think of. Okay.
We have a comment from Redditor Gore Blaster. Great name.
Yep.
Takara Fuji takes it hands down in terms of mass and definition. No one else on Earth has glute striations at 375 pounds, for fuck's sake.
But no, Takara
Very
Fuji,
fair point.
the people that mentioned Takara Fuji were very adamant with their vote, and they were like, no.
Yeah.
They're like, this is the guy. This is the guy. There can be no other guy. This is the guy.
I believe some people even said that they would be mad if he didn't win, but he did get
No,
third
I get it.
place. So
I get it. I'm kind of surprised he's third. But speaking of what he can do with that ass, no one else can stop forward momentum quite like Takara Fuji can.
Exactly.
And he does that with that butt. And even though I know he's dealing with injuries and he's maybe aging out of this pro sumo world, his lower body, it's just incredible. It's like he's built like a tank, and it's one of those things that however they put those lights above the doyo shining down into the ring, it just like all the shading comes through on that man's ass. And you can see every muscle working in there. It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about watching Takara Fuji fight is whenever he's, doing like fast lateral movements, you could just watch. It's almost like, science class, just watching his like anatomy just move in like perfect unison. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The size, his calves, his hamstrings, his gluteus maximus, like all of those muscles you can see underneath those lights. And it's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Takara Fuji he's built, and then there's been a lot of other people like in Amazumo, that I asked their opinions, but many of the Amazumo sumo wrestlers that I talked to that voted, for Takara Fuji were just like amazed, like with his power, his lateral movements, with just like what he can do with his anatomy. So that tracks.
So going into second place with 12 votes, we have Tobizaru. We have another comment from Reddit.
Tobizaru.
I know.
There is a lot of Tobizaru stands, especially whenever we went to Reddit.
Oh yeah,
Really?
Reddit loves Tobizaru. Redditor Anagram. How do you say the name of this? Anagramma Under Radar says, this is an inappropriate and deranged game, and everyone who engages in it should be ashamed of themselves. My vote is for Tobizaru.
Well, I would say Tobizaru's butt is quite similar to Ura's butt.
Yeah.
And they have similar body shape, and they're both incredibly fast and flexible. And that's probably why they've developed that shape. Yeah. Like I think there is a relationship between how your buns look and your style of sumo.
Yeah.
And so I think a certain style of sumo really builds that kind of body. So I get it. It wouldn't have been my pick, but I get it.
Yeah, the people that voted for him though, there was I think his last name's pronounced Vata. Is it? I'm gonna go ahead and say Vata, Vatta. But Tobias Vata was like, no, Tobizaru is the one. Anybody else tries to, vote against him, they are just factually wrong.
Yeah, I saw that too. There were some very strong opinions about Tobizaru, just like they were very strong about Takara Fuji. But we've now gotten to the number one Rikishi with the most vote for best butt in sumo. Drum roll, please.
Is he retired?
Nope.
Yeah, he is.
Well,
No.
not yet. It's Ishihara with 14 votes.
Yeah, I figured that. Yeah, 100%. That man had the best buns in the biz.
Hell yeah. That ended up being my vote ultimately. We do have another comment from Reddit user Laura J. Dogmom, who says Ishihara is the gold standard against which all other butts are judged. His puriketsu is a Japanese national treasure that must be protected at all costs.
Oh, Laura, I totally agree. Oh my God. Yeah, I always thought because he wore that gold mawashi too, he always reminded me of the Oscar statuette. You know, the Oscar that they all get. If you turn around backwards and look at their butt, I always imagined that would be Ishihara's butt.
I was going to say those little Ferrero, what are those chocolates?
Those little Ferrero chocolate balls with the gold foil?
With the hazelnuts in them. Yeah, like that. Just yummy.
That's really good. Oh my gosh. Okay.
But you were right. The Danpatsuki for Ishihara has been announced now. That's going to be coming up in June.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know, when they stop actually participating in the shows, do we call them retired then, or is it after they have their Danpatsuki?
They're still technically retired. If you look, I was watching Kiseibeya like on YouTube, and Aki Seiyama had recently retired, but he hasn't had his. I don't even think he's scheduled his Danpatsuki. He just hasn't had it yet, so he still has the Chonmage. But when they were because they show like their stats, and who they are, so it said Toshiori on his, so he's been working the door, doing security. Yeah. So he's at the bottom of the Toshiori ranks right now. That's why he's got the blue jacket and has to run security and do all that. So
okay.
So and Ishihara did. Do you remember seeing the pictures of Ishihara with his little blue security jacket, but he still had his little chonmage, and it's
Yep.
Okay, so you were right. Technically, yes, he is retired now. I marked these with like a little R for the retired ones, but I didn't put one on Ishihara because I wasn't 100% sure how to define that. But
yeah.
We have our answer now. But going back to the butt. Yes, that is a very powerful butt, a very beautiful butt, and I think it does encompass a lot of the different aspects of what makes a good butt. It is very muscular, it is very round, it is jiggly, he's just all around, no pun intended, a very beautiful butt to look at.
Yeah, it's just bumtastic. It is bumtastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fun, like doing this research, because whenever, I got a degree in anthropology. So whenever I was, earning my degree, one of the things I had to do was to get not anthropomorphic. I used to have to measure people and like take down like wrist measurements or like shoulder measurements and like
did you have to do butt measurements?
I didn't do butt measurements, but I did this time. Well, not the measurements, but compiling the data for butts is so much more fun than having to compile like biometric data. That's what it's called.
That's what it is.
Than having to compile all this other biometric data and like do all the little math and all that. So this was so much more fun, and to hear all the different opinions and strong opinions from people.
Yeah.
As strong as these butts. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go back for your master's in butts.
Buttology.
Master
buttologist, Matt Jim.
And then Dr. Puriketsu, Laurie.
Puriketsu. PhD in Puriketsu. Well, I do want to add one other class of butt. Two other classes of butt that were not mentioned by your people. One is the butt with the obvious gluteus medius, which I always appreciate. And that is like the Terunofuji butt.
Yeah.
Which is the rather flat butt, but you can see that gluteus medius right on the top.
Yes.
Because he's super strong. And he's like, I think that's developed if you got like a super strong upper body, right? Then you develop that gluteus medius. So that's a nice butt.
See, that's kind of the butt that I'm going for, is because
I've seen it on you.
I'm a little bit slightly built. I'm not as built as Teruo no Fuji, but we have similar frames. So I think if I could get my muscle mass built up more, because we both kind of have that flat Hank Hill butt, but I could firm up my Hank Hill butt and do something good with it. So
so it's like we got to come up with a term for that butt. It's the flat, but it's like it's got junk right at the top, but good junk. It's got it's like the medium flat, the flat medium. That sounds like a coffee drink in New Zealand.
Flat iron steak.
Flat iron steak butt. Yeah, whatever that butt is. Like there's a few guys that have that, and that's a nice butt. I love that butt.
Yeah,
it's a power.
Or the butt. Another favorite of mine is the butt that is wiggled, like a wiggle butt, where they're using that move to shake someone's hand out of their mawashi and they wiggle their butt back like that. It doesn't matter what your ass looks like. If you can do that move, you are getting a vote from me on best butt, because that move is so cool.
Yeah, what's cool about it too is I watched a little video that the JSA put out on their YouTube where they're testing the grip strength of the different rikishi. So some of them, like Shodai especially, have incredible grip strength. So thinking about that, someone with that kind of grip strength holding your mawashi, if your hips and your core strength and your butt strength is powerful enough to break those men's grips, that is a powerful ass.
Oh yeah.
Like, seriously.
Definitely.
So whenever you see them do that quick little shake and they actually break a grip, that is a lot of power to break someone's grip. That's, I don't know what the actual metric is of Shodai's grip strength, but it's enormous.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Hakuho used that move a lot.
Yeah.
He was always on my list for best butt because of that move. Wakamoto Haru I've seen do a lot. That's why he's on my list. But Asashoryu did it a lot. Kakuryu sometimes. Like they developed that move, I think, over many, many years. And that's just a sexy, sexy sumo move.
Yeah. Definitely. So given all of the votes that we got and everyone that you heard on the list, would you still say that Wakamoto Haru is your vote, or did you want to change that?
Okay, if it's just butt, and I can't include the shoulders in it because the shoulders I'm a shoulder girl, so that really changes things up for me.
The butt
so
of
if
the
it
neck.
is, yeah. But if it is just only the butt, I do think it has to go to Ishiura. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, very well deserved. Congratulations, Ishiura. I'm sure you're never going to listen to this, but just in case somebody mentions it,
Ishiura speaks
we're proud
English.
of your butt.
No, Ishiura's not
does
only
he?
He speaks English, but before he joined Ozumo in Japan, he was actually going to be the villain in The Wolverine with Hugh Jackman.
Right, I forgot.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So he speaks English.
Oh my god.
So I'm going to have to try to find someone I know there's the Chris Sumo guy on YouTube.
I know
knows where
there's someone
Miyagi-Do
crazy
stable
enough.
is.
One of our listeners is crazy enough to send him this.
Oh, I know. We have our friend Yuki that lives in Japan.
That's true.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if Yuki says, "Hey, Ashira, look what I found."
All right, Laurie, thank you so much for discussing sumo butts with us. Before we let you go, did you have any last words on this subject?
I think we have covered the subject all the way around. It's nice, solid. I wish I had some butt jokes to throw in here, but I have not a one. I would just like to say I completely enjoyed this conversation, and I loved being here. So thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah,
we loved having you.
Us.
Thank you so much, Laurie.
And you have no idea I've been fighting, being so silly and starstruck. And be like, oh my God, I'm not
Well, I'm starstruck right back at you because I've loved watching you in sumo tournaments, and I've loved meeting you both and hanging out with you both at sumo tournaments. I just think you're both the best, and I'm glad you're out there doing a podcast and involved in the sumo world. You add a lot to this community. If not just for your podcast, but for the amount of time and energy you put into bringing supplies to sumo tournaments and doing announcing ringside. Y'all just do so much to build the local sumo community. So thank you from the bottom of my little heart for that.
Thank you. That makes me feel not as stressed out about it all now, because it's a lot of work, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's all worth it.
And that's like the best warm fuzzies I gotten all day.
Yeah. All right. We know you've got other engagements, so we'll go ahead and let you go. But again, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Laurie. And if you wanted to know where to find them, you could go to any podcasting platform that's out there, whether it's Apple or Google or Amazon or Spotify, whoever. You could find Sumo Kaboom pretty much where you find podcasts, as well as YouTube. And if you want to know who else you could find on podcasting platforms and YouTube, it's going to be us, Sumo Punx. And that's Punx with an X for extra sex. And if you wanted to find us on the Twitter, we're at Punx Sumo. So if you
also have two shops.
I was gonna
one
say
on Redbubble and one on TeePublic. Mm-hmm. If you want to get a T-shirt or a sticker or a
shower curtain, mouse pad,
sure.
And if you check us out on YouTube, please subscribe. And if you're listening to us on any platform whatsoever, give us the highest rating you can. It'll help more people find us, more people that are interested in being as gross as we are.
Yeah. And until next time.
Bye.